Many of us will have seen the cartoon illustrating the differences between equality and equity. The boxes used to depict equality are all the same height, but these don't take into consideration the varying heights of the people using the boxes. So even though they each have an equal-sized box, the shortest person cannot see over the fence and consequently misses out, which isn't fair. In the case of equity, however, each person is given the box they need in order to be able to see over the fence and enjoy the rugby game. In other words, everyone's outcome is the same. Equality can be defined generally as the state of being equal or the same, especially regarding the status, rights, and opportunities someone has. Equity is a little harder to define, but where equality means everyone is treated the same, regardless of need or other individual differences, equity means everyone is provided with what they need to succeed. But what happens when the focus shifts from equal opportunities to equal outcomes? Is attempting to bring about equal outcomes a good idea, or even possible? Well, let's test it against evidence to see if what we think might be a good idea is actually a good idea in practice. Let me give you an example. I decide I want to be as good a tennis player as Serena Williams. Now, in order to be a good tennis player, a multitude of different factors have to come together to produce a particular result. And try as I might, I simply don't have the right combination of skill, dedication, resources, physique, and perseverance, among other things, that she has. So what's the only way to make me as good as Serena Williams? Well, it's to bring her down to my level. This is not a good idea, although it's only a game of tennis. What happens, though, when the idea of equal outcomes makes its way into areas like education, which is exactly what we are seeing? As I illustrated with my impossible tennis dream, there are many different factors that lead to the outcomes people experience. With so many variables at play, it is impossible that there could ever be equal outcomes for individuals or different groups of people. Siblings, for example, have many things in common, such as shared DNA, common values that they are raised with, and access to similar or the same opportunities. And yet, more often than not, they don't experience equal outcomes. So if equal outcomes don't occur between siblings where a number of common factors exist, how can we bring about equal outcomes across society when different variables are present? Like I said, it's impossible. Often the reason given for the presence of disparities is discrimination. And while discrimination certainly exists in society, one-factor explanations for outcomes are seldom true, if they exist at all. Furthermore, just because disparities exist, it doesn't mean discrimination is actually the cause. This is what we are led to believe, though, that if not for discrimination, we would have equal outcomes between groups who are actually vastly different. This is wrong and has been proven wrong by people who have taken the time to properly examine all the factors that lead to different outcomes. One such person is acclaimed American academic Thomas Sowell, who notes, "If you have always believed that everyone should play by the same rules and be judged by the same standards, that would have gotten you labelled a radical 50 years ago, a liberal 25 years ago, and a racist today." He's right. It is difficult to have serious conversations about equal opportunities compared to equal outcomes when to suggest that equal outcomes are impossible often results in the conversation being shut down. But what is the better option to ensure everyone gets a fair shot at things? Is it better to be driven by emotion and wish the world was a certain way and then set in place mass social engineering programs which will never work and which will generally make things worse? Or is it better to understand the multitude of differing factors at play and use that as a baseline for figuring out how to make things better? Rather than just reducing all the problems of the world to the latest fashionable slogan, it might be a good idea to do some hard work and try to understand the different factors that influence outcomes. However, only if we are prepared to face facts, have honest conversations, and understand how and why certain outcomes occur, will we actually have a shot at bringing about positive change for those who need it the most. I'm Dr. Melissa Darby for The Common Room. To see more videos like these, subscribe at commonroomnz.com.